The sound of that remote clicking off was like a slap in the face. 1 second, I'm watching the Lions finally score a touchdown. The next second, the screen goes black. Dead silence. That's when I knew my life in my own house was over. "Get out, old man! You're not welcome here anymore!" My name is Benjamin Thompson. I'm 58 years old, been a widower for 9 years now. Worked 32 years at the automotive plant before they gave me the retirement package. This house with the finished basement and the 2-car garage? I paid for every brick with overtime shifts and weekend work. Let me tell you how I got to this point, because it didn't happen overnight. Ashley, my daughter-in-law, she's been chipping away at my authority in this house for 4 years now, little by little, like water wearing down stone. It started innocent enough. Tyler, my son, lost his job right after they got married. "Dad, can we stay here just a couple months while I find something?" Sure, what father says no to that? I had the space. The house felt too empty anyway since Martha passed. But Ashley, she had different plans from day one. First week, she rearranged my living room. "Ben, this furniture is so dated. Let me freshen things up." Before I knew it, my comfortable old couch was gone, replaced with some white thing I was afraid to sit on. Then came the kitchen takeover. My coffee maker that worked perfectly fine for 15 years? "This thing is ancient, Ben. I ordered a new one." Next thing I know, she's throwing out my coffee mugs, my plates, even my bottle opener from the plant's 25-year service award. But the basement den? That was supposed to be off limits. That's where I retreated when the upstairs became her domain. My recliner facing the big screen, my Lions memorabilia on the walls, my workbench in the corner with tools organized exactly how I like them. This was my sanctuary. The last piece of my house that still felt like mine. That Sunday afternoon, I was settled in my spot for the afternoon games. Lions versus Packers, division rivals. Tyler was supposed to watch with me like we used to do when he was a kid, but Ashley had him running errands again. "We need groceries, Tyler. Ben's coffee supply is running low." Always something. I'd been looking forward to this game all week. Set up my snacks on the side table, had my Lions jersey on, volume at the perfect level. This was my time, my space, my routine. Every man needs that. The Lions were down 21-24 with 2 minutes left on the clock. They'd just gotten to the red zone when I heard those heels clicking down the basement stairs. Ashley never came down here unless she wanted something, but she marched straight to the TV like she owned it. "We want to watch our show," she announced. Not Tyler and her. We. Like I wasn't even part of the equation. "Ashley, the game's almost over," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "Give me 5 minutes and it's all yours." She rolled her eyes. "Ben, it's just football. You watch it every Sunday. Our show only comes on once a week." Just football. 32 years of working double shifts, and she thinks my Sunday afternoon relaxation is just football. "This is my den," I said, standing up from my chair. "I'm watching my game." That's when her mask came off completely. The fake smile disappeared. Her voice got loud and nasty. "Get out, old man! You're not welcome here anymore. This is our house now." The words hit me like a physical blow. Our house? I looked around at my basement, my TV, my chair, my walls covered with memories of a lifetime. Our house? But what killed me was Tyler appearing at the bottom of the stairs. He'd heard everything, and I looked at my son, waiting for him to defend me, to remind his wife whose name was on the deed, whose sweat built this place. Nothing. He just stood there looking at his shoes like a scolded child. I've been in fights before. Physical ones, where men threw punches and settled things like men. But this was different. This was my own family treating me like a stranger in my own home. Ashley grabbed the remote and plopped down in my chair. My chair. started flipping through channels like she'd just conquered enemy territory. I walked upstairs without saying another word. In my bedroom, I pulled out the lockbox from under the bed. House deed, property tax receipts, insurance papers, bank statements, all bearing the name Benjamin Thompson. This was my house, bought and paid for with my labor. I packed a bag with enough clothes for a few days. I wasn't sure where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay here tonight. Not after being humiliated in my own basement. It's on when I came back through the living room, Ashley had our 65-inch TV blasting some reality show garbage. Tyler was sitting on the couch looking miserable, but still not man enough to stand up to his wife. I headed for the front door. Ashley called out, "Where are you going? To find someone who'll listen to your sob story?" I stopped at the door and turned around. "I'm going somewhere I'm treated with respect," I said. Something I should have done a long time ago. I walked out and locked the door behind me. The cool evening air hit my face, and for the first time in months I felt like I could breathe freely. I drove straight to the Hampton Inn downtown. You know why I picked that place? Because it's where the plant used to put up visiting engineers. Clean, professional, the kind of place where they call you sir and mean it. After what just happened, I needed to be somewhere I was treated like a human being. The desk clerk was a young guy, maybe Tyler's age. "Good evening, sir. Checking in?" "Yes," I said. "Benjamin Thompson. I need a room for a few nights." He didn't ask why I didn't have a reservation. Didn't give me any attitude about paying cash. Just handed me a key card and said, "Room 237, sir. Elevator's around the corner. Have a pleasant stay." Pleasant stay? When's the last time someone in my own house wished me anything pleasant? The room was simple but clean. Double bed, little desk by the window, bathroom with towels that actually matched. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked around. This 12 by 12 hotel room felt more like home than my own house had in months. I opened my bag and pulled out the lockbox. Spread all my papers on the desk, like I was preparing for battle. Because that's what this was going to be. A battle for my own home. The house deed was dated March 15th, 1998. I remember that day like yesterday. Martha and I had saved for 8 years for the down payment, and she cried when we got the keys. "Our first real home, Ben," she said. "Not rental, not temporary. Ours. Property tax receipts going back 25 years. Every year, paid on time, sometimes early. Insurance payments, utility bills, maintenance records. I keep good records. You learn that in manufacturing. Document everything." I stared at Ashley's credit card statement from last month. $1,247 at Target, $890 at some boutique clothing store, $456 at a spa. All charged to my account. When did I become her personal bank? But it was more than money. It was respect. For 4 years, I'd been patient, understanding. "They're young, Ben. They're figuring things out." That's what I told myself every time Ashley rearranged my house, threw out my belongings, acted like I was a boarder instead of the owner. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Jeremy Parker. I hadn't talked to him in 2 years, but Jeremy was good people. Used to handle legal issues for Local 485 back when I was still working. Straight shooter, no nonsense, the kind of lawyer who tells you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. It was 9:30 p.m. Late to call, but this couldn't wait. "Jeremy Parker." "Jeremy, it's Ben Thompson from the plant. Sorry to call so late." "Ben, good to hear your voice. What's going on? You sound stressed." I told him everything. How Ashley and Tyler moved in 4 years ago for just a few months. How it turned into permanent residence without any lease or rental agreement. How Ashley had gradually taken over my entire house. How she kicked me out of my own basement tonight. Jeremy listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. "Ben, What you're describing is elder abuse. Psychological abuse in your own home. And legally speaking, you've got every right to evict them. Even though they're family? Especially because they're family. They're taking advantage of your generosity. How long since they've paid rent? Utilities? Groceries? I thought about it. They've never paid rent. Tyler gives me a couple $100 for groceries sometimes, but Ashley spends more than that in a week. Any written agreement about their stay? Nothing. Tyler just asked if they could crash here temporarily. Jeremy's voice got more serious. Ben, you need to understand something. In the eyes of the law, they're squatters. Worse than squatters because squatters don't usually have the homeowner cooking their meals and paying their bills. That hit hard. Squatters. In my own house. What can I do? First thing tomorrow, come to my office. We'll draw up a formal eviction notice. Since there's no lease, we can give them 30 days to vacate. Maybe less, depending on your state's laws. Will that hold up? Ben, it's your house. Your name on the deed, your name on the mortgage payments, your name on the tax bills. That you could have them out in 24 hours if you wanted to get tough about it. After we hung up, I sat in that hotel room feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Control. For 4 years, I'd been reacting to Ashley's moves. Now I was going to make some moves of my own. I called room service and ordered a burger and fries. Ate it while watching SportsCenter. No one turned off my TV. No one told me I wasn't welcome. No one rolled their eyes when I wanted to see the game highlights. My phone buzzed around 11 p.m. Text from Tyler. Dad, where are you? Ashley's worried. Worried. Sure she was. Worried about who was going to pay for her shopping sprees and spa days. I texted back, I'm fine. We'll talk tomorrow. Another text. Can you just come home? We can work this out. Work this out. Like it was some minor disagreement instead of years of disrespect culminating in being kicked out of my own basement. I turned off the phone and went to bed. First good night's sleep I'd had in months. Next morning, I was at Jeremy's office by 9 a.m. He had coffee ready and a legal pad covered with notes. I've been thinking about your situation, Ben. We need to be strategic here. They'll try to paint you as the unreasonable old man kicking out his struggling family. But it's my house. Absolutely. But family court judges see this stuff all the time. Adult children taking advantage of elderly parents. The key is documentation. Jeremy pulled out a form. Eviction notice. 30 days to vacate. But before we serve this, I want to do some research. Something's been bothering me about your daughter-in-law. What do you mean? A woman who's that comfortable taking over someone else's house? Who kicks the homeowner out of his own basement? That kind of entitlement usually comes with other problems. Financial problems. He leaned forward. Ben, I want you to think carefully. Has Ashley ever asked you to sign anything? Loan applications? Insurance papers? Anything at all? I started to say no, then stopped. Last year, she'd brought me some papers about refinancing, said it would lower my monthly payments. I'd signed without reading them carefully. Maybe, I said. Some refinancing documents. Jeremy's expression got serious. We need to pull your credit report, today. Jeremy pulled up a credit monitoring website on his computer. Let's see what we're dealing with here. I gave him my social security number and watched him type. Within minutes, my credit report filled the screen. What I saw made my blood run cold. Jesus Christ, Jeremy muttered, scrolling down. Ben, look at this. There were accounts I'd never opened, credit cards from stores I'd never shopped at, a personal loan for $15,000 that I definitely never applied for, all with my address, but not my signature. This one here, Jeremy pointed to the screen. Home equity line of credit application. Denied, thank God. But look at the signature. He pulled up the scanned document. The signature looked like mine, but it was slightly off. The B in Benjamin was too loopy. The T in Thompson had the wrong slant. Someone had practiced my signature, but not well enough. "Ashley," I said, the word tasting bitter in my mouth. "Almost certainly. Ben, this isn't just disrespectful behavior anymore. This is identity theft. Federal crime territory." My hands started shaking. Not from fear, from rage. For 4 years, I'd been watching Ashley spend money like water, wondering how they could afford her lifestyle on Tyler's insurance adjuster salary. Now I knew. She'd been stealing from me the whole time. "There's more," Jeremy said, clicking through the report. "Store credit cards, online shopping accounts, even what looks like a cryptocurrency investment account. All opened in the last 18 months. I thought about all those packages that showed up at my door. "For Ashley Thompson," the delivery guys would say. Designer clothes, expensive makeup, gadgets I'd never heard of. I'd assumed Tyler was treating his wife. Turns out I was treating her. "Jeremy, what's the damage here? How much has she stolen?" He opened a calculator and started adding up the balances. $23,000 in total debt, plus the attempted home equity loan for another $45,000. $23,000. That was more than half my annual pension, money she'd spent on God knows what while I was eating store-brand cereal to keep grocery costs down. "But here's the thing," Jeremy continued. "None of this debt is actually your responsibility since you didn't sign for it. The problem is, if creditors start calling, they're going to your address, your phone, your mailbox." That explained the phone calls I'd been getting lately. Collection agencies looking for Ashley Thompson. I'd always told them they had the wrong number, figured it was some mix-up. What do we do? First, we file a police report for identity theft. Then we dispute every fraudulent account. But Ben, I have to ask, did you ever give Ashley permission to use your personal information for anything? I thought hard. Last Christmas, she said she was ordering something online as a surprise for Tyler. Asked to use my computer because theirs was broken. I stepped out of the room to give her privacy. Jeremy nodded grimly. That's when she probably got your social security number, date of birth, all the information she needed. Been planning this for over a year. My phone buzzed. Text message from Tyler. "Dad, we need to talk. Ashley's really upset about last night." I showed Jeremy the message. "What do I tell him?" "Nothing yet. We serve the eviction notice first, then we drop the fraud bomb. Let them think this is just about disrespect and property rights. When they see the identity theft charges, they'll realize how deep they're in." Jeremy called his assistant. "Corey, I need you to prepare an eviction notice for delivery this morning." And he gave him my address and the details. Professional delivery, full documentation. These people need to understand this isn't a family squabble anymore. While we waited, Jeremy explained the timeline. 30 days to vacate, starting today. If they're not out by then, Sheriff's Department handles the physical removal. But honestly, Ben, once they see the identity theft evidence, I don't think they'll want to stick around for a legal fight. "You think Tyler knows?" Jeremy shrugged. "Doesn't matter legally. But for your relationship with your son, I hope he didn't. A man should be able to trust his wife not to steal from his father." At 11 a.m., Jeremy's phone rang. Corey, calling from my front door. "They're here," Jeremy told me, putting it on speaker. "Go ahead, Corey." "I'm at the Thompson residence." A young woman answered the door, very hostile when she saw the legal documents. Refused to sign for them initially. I could picture Ashley's face when she realized this wasn't some delivery she'd ordered. "Did you serve them?" "Yes, sir. I explained that refusal to accept doesn't invalidate service. Left copies with both the woman and a man who came to the door. He seemed shocked, kept asking what this was about." That would be Tyler. Probably the first time in 4 years he'd seen official consequences for his wife's behavior. Any other reaction? The woman started yelling about how this was harassment and they'd fight it. The man just kept reading the papers over and over. Looked like he was in shock. After Corey hung up, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Power. For the first time since Martha died, I was setting the terms instead of just accepting whatever happened to me. My phone exploded with calls and texts. Tyler first, and then Ashley, then Tyler again. I ignored them all. Jeremy, what happens next? Now we wait. They'll call you, probably come to the hotel if they can find you. They'll promise to change, to pay rent, to respect your space. Don't believe any of it. And the fraud? I'm filing the police report this afternoon. Once that's done, we notify the creditors that these accounts are fraudulent. Ashley will be facing criminal charges within a week. I thought about Tyler, probably sitting in my living room right now, reading that eviction notice and wondering how his life had fallen apart so quickly. Part of me felt sorry for him. He was a good kid who'd married a woman who turned out to be a criminal. But mostly, I felt relief. For the first time in 4 years, I was taking control of my own life. Jeremy, I want to add something to this case. What's that? I want my basement back first, before the 30 days are up. That's my space. As in, I'm not waiting a month to use my own TV again. Jeremy smiled. I think we can arrange that. 3 days after the eviction notice, Tyler showed up at the Hampton Inn. I was having breakfast in the hotel restaurant when I saw him walk in. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Dad, he said, sitting down across from me. We need to talk. About what? About Ashley. About the credit cards. About everything. He ran his hands through his hair. Dad, I swear I didn't know about any of that financial stuff. I studied my son's face. Tyler's got many faults, but he's never been a good liar. When he was 12 and broke my garage window playing baseball, I could see the guilt written all over him. I believe you, I said. Question is, what are you going to do about it now that you know? I confronted her, showed her the credit report Jeremy sent over. She tried to deny it at first, said it was some kind of mistake. And then? Then she admitted to borrowing your information. Said she was going to pay it all back once her online business took off. Miss Tyler laughed bitterly. What online business? She spends all day on social media posting pictures of stuff she bought with stolen money. The waitress came over to refill my coffee. Tyler ordered a cup for himself. Black. He looked exhausted. Dad, I'm moving out. Today. Taking Amanda with me. Where will you go? My buddy Marcus has a spare room. It's not ideal, but it's honest. I can't keep living in a house that was bought with fraud. For the first time in years, I felt proud of my son. That's the right choice, Tyler. Ashley's furious. Says you're destroying our family over money. Says if you'd just been more generous, none of this would have happened. And what do you think? Tyler looked me straight in the eye. I think I married a woman who stole from my father and then blamed him when she got caught. 2 days later, Jeremy called with an update. Ben, Ashley Thompson has been arrested. Identity theft, fraud, forgery. She's out on bail, but the charges are solid. What's the sentence for something like this? Could be up to 5 years, though first offenders usually get less. More important for you, the judge issued a restraining order. She can't come within 500 feet of your property. That afternoon, I drove back to my house for the first time in a week. Tyler's truck was parked outside, loading boxes. When he saw me, he waved. Just getting the last of our stuff, Dad. We'll be out tonight. I walked through my house room by room. Ashley had taken her expensive gadgets and designer clothes, but she'd left my furniture alone. The living room still looked like her version of fresh, but that could be fixed. I went down to the basement. My recliner was still there, facing the TV. My workbench in the corner. Was my tools still organized the way I like them? This felt like coming home. Tyler appeared at the bottom of the stairs carrying a box. "Dad, I owe you an apology. A big one." "For what?" "For not standing up to her. That night when she kicked you out of your own basement, I should have defended you. I should have reminded her whose house this was." I sat down in my recliner. It felt good. "Tyler, why didn't you?" He set down the box and sat on the couch. "Because I was scared. Scared she'd leave me, take Amanda, make my life hell. I thought if I kept the peace, everything would work out. And now? Now I realize keeping the peace isn't the same as keeping your dignity. You can't have both sometimes." Smart kid. Took him a while to figure it out, but he got there. Over the next week, Tyler moved into Marcus's place and filed for divorce. Amanda came to visit me on weekends, thrilled to have her grandfather back. Ashley tried calling me from different numbers, but I'd blocked them all. Aunt Jeremy handled the fraud cases with the credit card companies. Every fraudulent account was closed, every fake charge reversed. Ashley would be dealing with the legal consequences on her own. A month later, I was back to my Sunday routine. Sitting in my recliner, watching football, volume at whatever level I wanted. No interruptions, no permission required, no walking on eggshells in my own home. Tyler called during halftime of the Lions game. "Dad, how's the house?" "Quiet. Peaceful. Mine again." "Good. Hey, Amanda wants to come over this weekend. Maybe we could watch a game together, like old times?" "I'd like that. But Tyler? Yeah? No wives allowed in the basement during football. That's a new house rule." Tyler laughed. "Fair enough. You've earned that." A few weeks later, my neighbor Mr. Martinez knocked on my door. He looked worried. "Ben, can I ask you something? As my daughter-in-law wants me to refinance my house to help them buy a bigger place. Says it's just paperwork, that I'll still own everything." I invited him in for coffee and pulled out the blue folder with all my legal documents. "Sit down, Martinez. Let's read the fine print together." That's how it started. Word got around the neighborhood that Ben Thompson knew how to spot financial scams, how to protect your property from entitled family members. Every few weeks, someone would knock on my door with papers they didn't understand, signatures they were being pressured to provide. I helped them all. Because once you learn to stand up for yourself, it gets easier to help others do the same. These days, I watch football in peace. I eat what I want, when I want. I invite friends over without asking permission. My basement is my sanctuary again, and everyone who enters respects that. And if any other entitled daughter-in-law thinks she can walk into my house and turn off my TV, well, she's got another thing coming. I've got Jeremy on speed dial now. I learned that being a good father doesn't mean letting your family walk all over you. It means teaching them the difference between love and respect. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to stop enabling their worst behavior, even when they call you the villain for it.